Burglary was the usual occupation of Lawrence Ferrone, also known as Charles Rose. He had twice done time for that offense in the New York State Prison. But Charlie Rose was not a finicky man. He worked where there was money to be made. On September 10, 1909, a Friday evening, Rose was employed on a mission that would make many men squeamish. He had been hired to beat up a young woman. Her offense, leading a strike at a blouse-making factory off Fifth Avenue, just north of Washington Square in Manhattan. He spotted his mark as she left the picket line. Clara Lemlich was small, no more than 5 feet tall, but solidly built. She looked like a teenager with her soft round face and blazing eyes, but in fact Lemlich was in her early 20s. She had curly hair that she wore pulled tight in the back and sharply parted on the right, in the rather masculine style that was popular among the fiery women and girls of the socialist movement. Some of Clara's comrades, Pauline Newman and Fanny Acone, for example, tireless labor organizers in the blouse and the underwear factories, respectively, wore their hair trimmed so short and plain that they could almost pass for yeshiva boys. These young women often wore neckties with their white blouses, as if to underline the fact that they were operating in a man's world. Men had the vote, men owned the shops and hired the sometimes leering, pinching foremen. Men ran the unions and the political parties. At night school, in the English classes designed for immigrants like Clara Lemlich, male students learned to translate such sentences as, "I read the book," while female students translated, "I wash the dishes." Clara and her sisters wanted to change that. They wanted to change almost everything. Lemlich was headed downtown toward the crowded, teeming immigrant precincts of the Lower East Side, but it is not likely that she was headed home. Her destination was probably the Union Hall or a Marxist theory class or the library. She was a model of a new sort of woman, hungry for opportunity and education and even equality, willing to fight the battles and pay the price to achieve it. As Charlie Rose fell into step behind her, this small young woman hurrying along, dressed in masculine style after a day on the picket line, the strong arm perhaps rationalized that her radical behavior, her attempts to bend the existing shape and order of the world, her unwillingness to do what had always been done, was precisely the reason why she should be beaten. Lemlich worked as a draper at Louis Lyserson's waist factory. Women's blouses were known as shirtwaists in those days, or simply as waists. Draper was a highly skilled job, almost like sculpting. Clara could translate the ideas of a blouse designer into actual garments by cutting and molding pieces on a tailor's dummy. In a sense, her work and her activism were the same. Both involved taking ideas and making them tangible. And the work paid well by factory standards, but pay alone did not satisfy Clara. She found the routine humiliations of factory life almost unbearable. Workers in the waste factories, she once said, were trailed to the bathroom and hustled back to work. They were constantly shortchanged on their pay and mocked when they complained. The owners shaved minutes at each end of the lunch hour and even fixed the time clocks to stretch the workday. The hissing of the machines, the yelling of the foreman, made life unbearable, Lemlich later recalled. And at the end of each day, the factory workers had to line up at a single unlocked exit to be searched like thieves, just to prevent pilferage of a blouse or a bit of lace.